140-pounder. Frankie Gomez in the past is very simple, guys. He's met the enemy as he looks in the mirror, and it is he.
He is trained by Freddie Roach. A lot of talk about him. It was a lot of fanfare when he was signed by Golden Boy Promotion. He takes on a veteran in Silverio Ortiz. And Frankie Gomez spoke with our crew from Ring TV as they sat down with him, talked about his future, his past, and how 2016 better be different for him.
I want to fight. It doesn't matter if I'm main event, co-main event. I just want to fight. Been training hard for this fight. The fighter that I'm gonna fight, it's durable, he's strong, keeps coming forward. It's gonna be a war.
Yeah, he's still my best prospect out there. I think he's a great fighter. I think he'll be world champion this year.
So he's a great coach and great trainer. Other than boxing, he's a great person. Hopefully, I can live up to what he said. It's time to step it up, quit messing around, and stay focused, disciplined in the sport.
He's getting more mature, and he's a good guy, and he's a lot of good people around him right now.
The critics, the people don't believe in me, and I just want to prove them wrong.
He has had a little bit lack of discipline in his life. Since he's been with us, we've only had one problem, and that was a weight issue.
It wasn't that I wasn't training, it was just that because I was training every day, I was training hard 2-3 times a day, and it was just I blew up so much in weight before the fight that it was hard for me to come down. It was just poor diet, what I eat and stuff. Well, my plan is to go in there and do what I do best. Go in there, fight, give an exciting fight, and it's gonna be a war, and I'm ready for it.
And coming into the ring right there, the pit bull, Frankie Gomez from East LA. A lot of people in attendance tonight made the 2-hour drive to see the pit bull from East LA, trained by Freddie Roach. And let's look at the tape for this fight.
Frankie Gomez is 9 years younger at age 24. Their height is equal, and Frankie enjoys a slight reach advantage.
Bethel Duran, Doug Fisher, Steve Kim, directed by Will Wright. Thank you for joining us tonight on Ring TV and wherever you're watching us around the world. Our friends in Canada, Poland, Turkey, and Nicaragua. Felicidades. And it's our ring announcer, Joe Martinez.
De Indio, California, damas y caballeros, buenas noches y bienvenidos a una noche de boxeo espectacular. And a very good evening, fight fans. Welcome to Fantasy Springs Resort Casino here in beautiful Indio, California for an exciting night of professional boxing. This bout is scheduled for 10 rounds in the welterweight division. Esta pelea está pactada por 10 asaltos peso welter. Presentada por, brought to you by Oscar de la Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions y patrocinado por and presented by Tecate Born Bull. This bout is also in association with Cancun Boxing. And here we go once again, fight fans. 10 rounds in the welterweight division. Los tres jueces, the 3 judges, David Denkin, Pat Russell, and Fernando Villarreal. When the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, encargado de ring, el referee, Eddie Hernández. Presentar primero la esquina azul, con los pantaloncillos blanco con dorado y un peso de 144 libras. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. Wearing tonight white trunks trimmed in gold, he weighed in officially 144 pounds. Con un récord de 29 victorias, 15 ganadas por nocaut y 16 derrotas. His professional record stands in 45 bouts, 29 victories, 16 defeats, 15 wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando de Mérida, Yucatán, México, el chamaco, Silverio Ortiz. Y su oponente en la esquina roja, con los pantaloncillos negros y un peso de 145 libras. His opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wears tonight black trunks and weighed in officially 145 pounds. Su récord perfecto con 19 victorias, 0 derrotas y 13 ganadas por nocaut. His professional record in 19 bouts stands perfect, 19 victories, no defeats, 13 wins coming by way of knockout, presentando el orgullo de East Los Angeles, California, el invicto, Frankie, the Pitbull Gómez. Otra vez el referee, Eddie Hernandez.
Mouthpiece. All right, gentlemen, I've been over the rules with you both. You know what I expect. Touch gloves. Good luck.
We get ready to go. 10 rounds between Frankie Gómez, Silverio Ortiz, Beto Duran, Doug Fisher, Steve Kim. And Steve, Frankie Gómez is a fighter you know very well. You visit the Wild Card Gym a lot. You've spoken with Freddie Roach about him. And Freddie is very high on him, but it just, as you said in our opening, the fighter, he looks in the mirror, sees the battle himself, and it's himself.
Well, Beto, we have to be honest about this. He did make weight at 145, but as you see his flesh, this should be a junior welterweight. Now, is there a junior welterweight to be had? I'm not so sure about the discipline. At the beginning of the year, Frankie Gómez was actually told by Golden Boy to come into the offices to do a weigh-in. They said if you're not within a particular range, we were not going to schedule you for this particular date. And guys, Robert Diaz, the Golden Boy matchmaker, also did a drive-by weigh-in, dropping in
Really?
yes, with their own scale, by the way, to make sure that he was minding his P's and Q's.
Well, in 2015 on the undercard of Cotto and Kirkland, he was
Nice hook.
taken off of the HBO show for coming in 6 pounds over. We're not harping on this. These are just the facts, though.
Yeah, and that, you know, there are so many hungry young prospects out there that are Frankie's age that would, you know, give anything to have that kind of opportunity to fight a world-class fighter, a former champion on HBO in the co-featured bout to a huge fight, a Canelo Alvarez fight. That was for the that was on the undercard of the co-feature to Canelo Alvarez versus James Kirkland, and in front of more than 30,000 fans in Houston.
And Doug, I still remember that day before the weigh-in. It was May 8th at the Fight Hotel. That was not a happy scene between the brass at Golden Boy and the training staff of Gómez. In fact, the training staff came under a little fire from Golden Boy. There may have been a lack of supervision at that point, as Freddie Roach's full focus was on that fight that happened May 2nd. You may have heard of it, Mayweather-Pacquiao.
Right.
And it didn't help that after that, instead of fighting in front of 30,000 on HBO, his next fight was here at the Fantasy Springs Resort and Casino in October, a fight that had to go up to 150 pounds because Frankie came in overweight again. And he was not the headliner that night, but overweight again. So this one, they agreed to 145. That's where he's at. And reading stories written by both of you guys, you hear Freddie Roach saying his best weight would be 140.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And Freddie really believes in Frankie Gómez. When everybody else is saying, you know what, Frankie is just immature and undisciplined, Roach has kept the faith in Gómez and says that he is his brightest talent, young talent right now in the Wild Card Boxing Club. And he believes that Gómez has the ability to win a major world title. And I tell you what, Gómez is looking, his reflexes and his punch accuracy are on point right now in this opening round.
Frankie Gómez, the pit bull, with some heavy shots landed to the face of the veteran 33-year-old Silverio Ortiz. Frankie Gómez, there's never been a question about his talent. It's more about the discipline.
I tell you what, there's no question that Ortiz is the kind of fighter who will take a hard shot like that and not get discouraged.
Ortiz is going to come right at you. Final seconds of the opening round. Scheduled for 10 between Gómez and Ortiz in India. Let's see what matchmaker Roberto Diaz has to say about this one.
I think Frankie is one of the most talented young fighters out there today in the world. We know he has experience. We know his background as an amateur. But I've seen him in the gym do things to level fighters, top level fighters, champion level fighters in the ring sparring that only a world champion can do. The matchup is tough. Don't go by the record. Anybody that's ever seen Silverio Ortiz fight, the guy's he's a tank. He just keeps coming. Most recently, he fought Pablo Cesar Cano, a former world champion. Cano dropped him 4 times. He got up all 4 times. He went the distance. He finished the fight. That's what I want with Frankie right now, and that was the purpose of Silverio Ortiz. Frankie to train through the holidays, not have a break, so he wouldn't go up in weight. But he has an opponent that he cannot just go in there and knock out in the first 2 rounds. He has an opponent that's going to give him 10 rounds of
Second round action. This round is brought to you by ringtv.com. Make sure to visit ringtv.com for more great boxing content throughout the week. And edited by Doug Fisher. There you see the matchmaker, Roberto Diaz, long-time respected matchmaker. A lot invested in Frankie Gomez on the Golden West stable.
I still remember when he was signed with much fanfare back in 2010. Had a very short amateur career, Doug, in terms of what he really accomplished. I've always wondered, armed with that big signing bonus, was it simply too much too soon for a young man to really have the responsibilities of making this his job?
Yeah, he may have turned pro to a bigger promotional package than his amateur accomplishments merited, Steve. What basically happened is there was a bidding war. A lot of promoters were out to get Frankie Gomez. And Golden Boy wanted him. Obviously, he's local. He's East LA. Shares a birthday with Oscar De La Hoya. You know, he signed for a very lucrative signing bonus. And the kind of signing bonuses and the kind of fanfare usually reserved for Olympic medalists. And he was obviously not an Olympian. He's a guy who had won open class national championship, and he earned a silver medal in the World Amateur Championships. But very precocious. He did so as a 17-year-old.
Right, and he had a very strong showing against a Cuban at that point. And it was at that point that the decision was made. But if you look at his career arc, Doug, I mean, we're coming into his 6th year as a professional, and he still does not even have 20 fights, which suggests to me that there's been a lot of stops and starts in his career. Lack of discipline. I think there's been a bit of a knee injury. And more than once, Freddie Roach will ask me while I'm in the gym, have you seen my fighter? That doesn't usually bode well.
Yeah.
Frankie the Pitbull Gomez turned 23 yesterday on the same day as our chairman and CEO, Oscar De La Hoya. Turned pro at 18. You mentioned, Steve, you're telling us before the broadcast, on the Roy Jones card, huh?
You know, that's a bit of trivia. On that broadcast crew for that not so heavily anticipated rematch is the guy sitting in between us. Douglas R. Fisher was on that call. I'm sure you'll never forget it, Doug.
Well, it was a strange night, okay? But I remember, his pro debut, and they chose a solid guy.
Clavon Howard.
Yeah, a decent fighter. And better than the usual opponent you put in with the guy making his pro debut. And Howard lasted, I think, 3 rounds. But you saw the ability, which you see now in Gomez. And at his best, he's an in-and-out boxer swarmer who can get off with power punches at odd angles when he's on the inside.
Your thoughts on that one, Dougie, though?
Well, there's some criticism because obviously Amir Khan is not a middleweight, and when we've seen Canelo Alvarez, who is the Ring Magazine WBC middleweight champion, when we've seen Alvarez in with natural welterweights or even junior welterweights like Josecito Lopez or Alfonso Gomez, he has overwhelmed them. However, Amir Khan, much higher level of natural talent, much more extensive amateur background than both of those guys, Gomez or Josecito Lopez, and an experienced former world champion in his own right.
Well, I think it's a stylistic difficulty for Canelo Alvarez, but I think at the end it just might be a physical mismatch. Just go back to the Bradis Prescott knockout, the Danny Garcia knockout. One thing about Canelo Alvarez, he may not be the hardest hitter at 154, 160, but he can thump. Yes. Lesser punchers have buzzed Khan before.
Big shots landed by Frankie Gomez through the first 2 rounds. How do you have it, Doug?
Yeah, I have Gomez ahead, comfortably ahead so far. I think this fight becomes interesting when we get into the middle to late rounds.
Doug, I have it just like you, 20-18, rounds number 1 and 2, both for the Pitbull.
Silverio Chamaco Ortiz now calls Mérida, Mexico his home. That's in the Yucatan. Was born in Chicxulub, Mexico, a small town. If it sounds familiar, well, 66 million years ago, a meteor landed there that led to the extinction of dinosaurs.
That's where it landed. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I was like, so wait, are you from Chicxulub or Mérida? He's like, well, nobody can say Chicxulub. I dare you to try to say it on the broadcast. So Silverio Ortiz, Chamaco, Chicxulub. That's where you were born. Ahí nacites. Well, right here, we're in Indio. Frankie the Pitbull Gomez from East LA. He's in against a veteran. And Ortiz, when I talked to him after the weigh-ins, said, I don't care. I know he's got power, but I've been in against people. I have experience. And he does. He's fought Mike Anchondo, Jorge Paez, Stevie Forbes, David Diaz, Chino Maidana. That's who he's gone up against in his career.
He's not going to be intimidated. He's somebody that Steve Kim and I have been aware of for the past 15 years. Not just for his fights, Steve, but for the gym work. He's given champions over the past 2 decades. I remember when the late Diego Corrales was preparing for his epic first fight against Jose Luis Castillo, and one of his sparring partners was Silverio Ortiz. And Ortiz was great work for Chico because he's such a well-rounded fighter. He has that good Mexican foundation, the balance. Not very fast, but his technique on his punches, very good. And of course, he has that determination that Luis Castillo had.
And Doug, I don't know if he's winning round number 3, but he's having a better third.
As we get going.
Doug, as I was saying before the last round, I think Ortiz had a better third. I still gave it to Gomez, who I think is pitching a shutout, but I think strategically it's key as he's taking a bit of a shellacking here in the corner. He's got to get this fight to the middle rounds and just really test out the conditioning of Frankie Gomez.
That's when the fight begins, in my opinion. Gomez has always been a fast starter. Early in his career, he scored a lot of first-round knockouts because he's not just strong. He has real pop behind his right and his left, and he's quicker than he looks. He has really good hand speed, and he gets off with at unorthodox angles sometimes. So sometimes he can catch guys with punches that they don't see.
Good left and right landed by Frankie Gomez, 23 years old. Started boxing at the age of 8, and reading a story by David Avila, Sweet Science, said that Frankie was telling him that he basically, the last couple months, changed some of his friends, stopped drinking beer, changed his food over the holidays, didn't have the traditional Mexican food. You have to do that.
Well, Beto, and of course when he does drink beer, it is Tecate. But
Tecate light, you got to get the light in there.
But I think there's something to be said here. Frankie Gomez will always tell you that he works hard, but there's no fitness saying you can't outwork your diet. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing, because if you look at his body right now, he does not look like a welterweight. I still remember big welterweights like Antonio Margarito, Doug, who was about 5'11", 6 feet. Yeah. You compare him to Frankie Gomez's stature, that right there is a guy that has to be at 140 at the top levels of the sport.
And I think if he can get down to 140 pounds safely, I believe he is a threat at the junior welterweight limit. And I think he'll have more power. I see a trickle of blood in the outside corner of Gomez's left eye. I don't know if it was from a punch or a clash of heads. Probably a clash of heads. And we'll see if that becomes a factor as the fight wears on. I think if I'm in Ortiz's corner, I tell them to work Gomez's body. Yeah. In the past, punches that have hurt Gomez have been body shots.
As a left hook is landed and somebody opened up a microphone in my ears, another right hand, and it sounds really loud, the thuds from Frankie Gomez. Landing the big shots.
Gomez is going to have to work hard as this fight goes on, because what I'm seeing Ortiz is doing at nights as he scrapes him with a grazing left hook, Ortiz is trying to grapple with him a little bit more in the inside.
Final seconds of the round. Blood coming down from the face of Silverio Ortiz. Frankie Gomez landing the bigger shots. As we cut over his left eye in Indio. Hey, started boxing at the age of 8. Fighting at 145. Freddie Roach, his trainer, in his... And we're in the 5th round. This round is brought to you by the new Pixie app. Pixie, live curiously. Freddie Roach's trainer, and I know, Steve, you had this conversation. As Manny Pacquiao prepares for his next fight, there's talk of possibly taking Frankie Gomez with him to the Philippines.
Beto, Freddie Roach is scheduled to leave the Philippines February 12th, get there by February 14th, and the first month of that camp for Pacquiao will take place in the Philippines, and he has openly stated he wants to take Frankie Gomez and Jose Ramirez to the Philippines. And Doug, that's one of the ways you keep a young fighter in shape, is just simply don't even give him an opportunity to leave camp.
Make sure that he's training year-round, and of course, it's good for Gomez to be in the presence of a future first ballot Hall of Famer and see how a guy who's already proven himself, already forged a great legacy,
See how he prepares. See how he trains.
You know, Doug, you talk about the landscape at 140, him being a threat. I got to tell you, though, there are some solid guys like Victor Postal, who's a stylistic nightmare for a lot of fighters, tall guy. The very talented Terrence Crawford and Adrian Broner.
That cut is really nasty. It's gotten worse, Steve.
Yeah.
Cut on the left eyebrow of Frankie Gomez. He switches into the southpaw stance. Chamaco Ortiz. Chamaco in Spanish means the little kid. Well, he's 33 years old. Yesterday when I ran into the hallways here at Fantasy Springs, he said, because of my experience, he's like, I've been in some ugly scraps. He goes, I'm going to try to make it ugly. It's kind of what he's doing.
Yes, he's doing that, and he started doing it in the last round. He wasn't effective enough to land enough punches to win that round, but I do believe we're seeing the effects here in round 5. Gomez is beginning to get frustrated.
No, he is. And, Doug, I was about to ask you this. 5-6 years in, the fact he's only had 19 fights, I think it's very evident. You still don't see him quite as technically sound as he needs to be to really reach that world-class status.
Yeah, and I think for him to be at his best in terms of his technique and his timing and his kind of unique style, he needs to be more active.
Yeah,
he needs
no
to
doubt.
just fight more.
You know, there have been other fighters in the past, guys, who've been very undisciplined, and one of the ways you mitigate that is just simply schedule them a lot. I still remember James Toney, who really is the poster child in a lot of respects for the talented, gifted guy who's not the most disciplined. From 1991 to 94, he had right around 25 fights.
And blood is flying right here. Our section in the blue corner as Frankie Gomez landing some big shots. Ring announcer Joe Martinez covering up his nice suit. We're not. We're warriors over here. We stay in our Ring TV black polos. Final seconds of the 5th round, but a lot of blood coming off of the face of Silverio Ortiz, but he's still fighting in there like the Yucatan fighter that he is in Indio. Ortiz with the wear on his face. Frankie Gomez, the Pitbull in black trunks, designed by famed artist OG Abel. The Pitbull logo on his side. We're in the 6th round
right now.
And the 6th round, Dougie, is brought to you by Filmon.com. Steve Kim working his way over to speak with Freddie Roach in between action. We'll catch up with him. Chamaco Ortiz has fought Humberto Soto, a tough scrap. He's also fought Pantera Silva, the last fighter that Frankie Gomez fought.
Yeah, and Ortiz stopped Silva,
Yes, he did.
whereas Silva took Gomez the distance in his last fight. And the reason that Ortiz was able to stop Silva is because he's a combination puncher. He knows how to set up those knockouts. I think Gomez against Silva wasn't in the best shape. He's looking really good right now as he presses the veteran fighter against the ropes. But against Silva over the second half of that bout, he resorted to just throwing one power shot at a time.
And Steve Kim, we can hear you too. Freddie Roach is right next to you. What is he saying?
He's starting to box really well. This guy's really kind of rough in the early stages, but now he's out starting to outbox him. He uses his speed. He's in and out real quick now. A lot better combinations. He's much better right now. He's doing well.
Freddie, conditioning is always a question with the Pitbull. Do you think he has enough to finish strong, unlike he did back a couple months ago?
He will. You know, his weight was a lot better this time. We had a lot better training camp, and by next fight we'll be right on track. He'll finish with no problem.
All right, as we go to the next round, when you go up to the corner, what are you going to be telling Frankie?
Really went to box this guy. Going out, you work behind the jab, and the uppercut's going to be the shot that knocks him out. I feel this guy's leaning over. He's wide open with that uppercut. I'm looking for him to throw that right uppercut behind the jab and get this guy out of there.
All right, that's the word from Freddie Roach. Beto, back to you.
Good word from Freddie Roach. His fighter, Frankie Gomez in the black. Looking good, in control of this fight against Silverio Ortiz, but Ortiz, el chamaco desde Yucatan, is making it difficult, making Gomez work. 30 seconds to go in the 6th round. We're scheduled for 10. Good shot landed. Nose just coming out. Blood coming out of the nose.
I wonder if it's
Ortiz.
broken because the blood has been flowing for at least the last round and a half, and I wonder if that's also affecting the oxygen that Ortiz is able to get.
Yeah, if we can get a close-up on that nose in between rounds, because it does look like it's been moved to the side.
It's flowing.
For the fighter from the Yucatan. Vision past it, and we go to the 7th round, and this round is brought to you by RingTV.com. Make sure to visit Ring TV for more great boxing content throughout the week. Bethel Durant, Doug Fisher, Steve Kim here at the Fantasy Springs Resort and Casino, working our way towards our main event, which is Randy Caballero coming back to fight in India for the first time since 2013 in his hometown. Frankie Gomez landing the bigger shots. Cut above his left eye, but besides that, not much wear on the 23-year-old.
He's been dishing out the majority of punishment, and that's my scorecard. I have Gomez winning every round except for round 5, when I thought Ortiz frustrated Gomez and also landed some choice body shots.
Yeah, and Doug, I gave every single round thus far to the pit bull, Frankie Gomez. And guys, what I'm looking for in the second half as we delve into the 7th, does Frankie Gomez have a finishing kick? Can he make a real statement to begin 2016?
And Steve, you were in the corner right now of Gomez talking to Freddie Roach. What's just the vibe over there?
Well, I think Frankie has done a good job throughout the first half of the fight. What I think Freddie wants to see is a strong finishing kick and see if he could really make a statement. As he said, he thinks he can get the stoppage.
Freddie told you he's looking for the right uppercut, and he wants Frankie to set that up with a jab. But Frankie he's not that kind of an orthodox boxer. You see him switch to southpaw. He often likes to lead with the power shot and then come over with a hook. And that can be from either stance.
You can see the flashes of why people are excited about Frankie Gomez, where he puts together the combination, the speed. You can only just imagine how much more speed would he have at the 140 where Freddie Roach wants him at. Because he has those heavy hands.
And
heavy hands, quick hands, and when he's in shape and when he's been active, he's also got very accurate hands.
Guys, the last time Frankie Gomez made 140 was July of 2014 against a pretty slick veteran by the name of Vernon Paris. Here's the interesting thing. He's now 24 years old, and Doug, the general arc of a career for the most part, when guys are in their 6th year, generally their bodies expand.
Yeah.
And they generally move up in weight after winning a title. Frankie Gomez, we're going to see, can he really shave down those last 5 pounds, or better yet, is he willing to?
Willing, and you can still lose weight in your early 20s. As Doug Fisher, you'll one day learn. And now you start to see the wear and tear taking effect on Ortiz, leaning on those ropes, trying to catch his breath as much as possible, having trouble breathing as that nose is being smashed up since the 3rd round. Frankie Gomez in control here in Indio.
Steve.
In between rounds, Ortiz's corner, his trainer Juan Carlos Contreras pleading with him, saying, I need you to box. If you don't, I'm going to stop this fight because you can't take this. You can't absorb punishment like this. He told him, I'm watching you. You need to make sure you box and move around next round.
It's not just the trainer that's watching closely. It's the commission. The referee, Eddie Hernandez, is watching closely. The ringside physician is watching closely. The commissioners are watching closely. And we all need to be, because Ortiz has a lot of wear and tear. He's just 33 years old, but a lot of wear and tear on that body, and he has taken a lot of punishment.
And Doug, I think it's one of those very dangerous fights where the corner cannot be too courageous. I would label Frankie Gomez a heavy-handed sword, not necessarily a devastating puncher. And these are the guys that are very dangerous in situations like this, because they just don't necessarily blow you out with one shot.
No.
They just keep
They get
pounding away
They get
with
you
thudding
hurt,
shots.
and they keep adding damage, whereas a sharper puncher or a knockout puncher ends the damage, hurts you, gets you out of there, the damage stops because the fight's over.
You know, I remember Rudy Hernandez, boxing veteran who worked the corner of the last fight, actually told me one time that as a fighter himself, he preferred getting knocked out with one shot. And I said, really? I said, Steve, when that happens...
With one shot?
Yeah, he says, you don't feel anything.
And Frankie Gomez landing the heavier shots here in the 8th round. 23-year-old from East LA, the Pit Bull. Here you see the veteran moves from Silverio Ortiz from Merida, Yucatan. Yeah, I think, Steve, these are the rounds where you really want to see if Frankie Gomez has that kick, huh?
And you know what, though? I think he's been very steady. I think he's kept up a very good pace. He's gotten better in the middle rounds, and he's really laying it on Ortiz. I think the big question now is for Silverio's corner, how much do you want this to go on? 'Cause I don't see this fight being close or I think it's pretty much a shutout. And at this point, I don't see Silverio Ortiz having the eraser to pull off the miracle victory.
Yeah, I don't see him turning it around.
Ortiz has landed punches, but not with much pop behind him. Workman-like approach from Chamaco Ortiz. Chamaco being a little kid, and he eats a big left there from Frankie Gomez. That lunging hook, the pit bull. Frankie Gomez, one fight last year. That was against Pantera. Final seconds of this round. Hoping to mix it up more in 2016. He's off to a good start. Controlling the fight against Ortiz. Contreras said, better, but I'm really watching you this 9th round. Don't take any punishment. You have to box. And there he eats a couple big shots, and the 9th round is brought to you by Yip TV. Watch live TV from around the globe, including live Golden Boy fights. Sign up today at yiptv.com. Referee Eddie Hernandez telling him don't push down. And you really do see the wear and tear on the face of Ortiz in the white with gold trunks. Blood has been coming down his nose since the 3rd round. That nose is smashed up, Doug. As you mentioned, there was concern maybe it was broken.
I think it is.
And he's
or
been
at least
breathing
fractured.
through his mouth since that 3rd round.
He's been forced to.
A lot of guts. The Yucatan fighter is here to scrap. But my goodness. There's Frankie Gomez landing some punishment here in this round.
I like the combinations from Gomez here in the 9th round. He's putting his punches together. Ooh, there's still a lot of speed and a lot of power behind those punches, which is why the corner of Silverio Ortiz, maybe
They should have kept their man on the stool.
Well, I think that towel needs to be on that right hand, making sure it's ready to go. I'm impressed by Frankie Gomez's energy level here. He's got good speed, putting together his punches, and he's seeming to accelerate downhill on Ortiz.
Yeah, it's like he's caught a second wind.
Yeah.
Frankie Gomez said he changed his training routine where he would run in the morning, go work out, and then every now and then mix up a 3-4 mile run at night. Big shot landed by Frankie the Pitbull Gomez, East LA fighter, trying to finish out this fight with the kick. And that's the corner of Ortiz. Juan Carlos Contreras for media. Oh, big left hook landed by Frankie Gomez. A right pushes back Ortiz, but he keeps coming back. Uppercut landed by Gomez. The heart shown by Silverio Ortiz. You guys know it very well, having watched him over the years. Now that right eye is really swelling up.
Oh.
That was right to the head.
Leg shot by Frankie Gomez.
Oh, that was a love tap there, Beto.
As they're trying to be separated. Veteran is going to use this to catch his breath as much as possible. Was hit on the thigh. Referee Eddie Hernandez talking with the judges. They're telling him to get up. He was hit in that left thigh. A little Charlie horse action. So when you begin smacked upstairs, and they hit, well, earlier fight, you guys told me that the legs go quick, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, imagine getting hit in that right thigh or the left thigh. Here's the replay.
See, replay. It's during a clinch. They're being broke up, and he kind of tapped him, but
Maybe just tapped him in that sweet spot, you know, sort of in the pelvis, front hip area.
You gotta stretch out that IT band, Dougie. You know that the track star you are. Don't let it get tight. We're in the 9th round, 30 seconds to go in the 9th round. Scheduled for 10. Frankie Gomez has looked good tonight against a tough veteran fighter in Silverio Ortiz.
Ortiz is able to land some body shots when he's being pressed against the ropes. The problem is he's just taking so many brutal, vicious headshots when his back are against those ropes. He just can't defend against it. I really don't see any reason for him to come out for round 10, Steve.
Doug agreed.
And the 10th and final round is brought to you by Filmon.com. Filmon.com is presenting you your 10th and final round. Well, guys, I would ask you your cards, but I think I have an idea at working with you guys enough. Let me guess. Clean sweep?
I gave 1 round to Ortiz. I'm generous like that.
That was earlier.
Yeah, it was round 5.
And Steve, you have a clean sweep through 9?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been, and again, I think as the rounds have gone on, they've become more and more dominant for Gomez.
Landing some heavier shots. You asked for that finishing kick. He's been bringing it the last couple rounds. Has Frankie the Pitbull Gomez. Legal name, Jesus Francisco Gomez. Gets into the southpaw stance. East LA fighter. Fighting in front of the East LA Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya. They share a birthday.
Oh, good body shot.
Body shot landed by Gomez to the right side of Ortiz. He covers up and eats a right hand. Good overhand right from the Pitbull. Ortiz.
Payback.
Little low, little low. Might not have been Cabo, but it was like old time Mesa. Good 1-2 from Gomez. Silverio Ortiz is a fighter that scraps with you. It's hard to knock him down and take him down.
Ortiz reduced to sort of reaching and grabbing as we see Eric Gomez, Vice President of Golden Boy Promotions, former head matchmaker with the birthday boy, the Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, just turned 43 on Thursday.
I think they have to be generally pleased with what they've seen. Do I think he's ready to compete with the very elite at 140? Probably not. I think. Oh, good combination.
Uppercut landed by Gomez. That really hurt Ortiz, who's now just throwing wildly. Ortiz is stunned.
I cannot believe Ortiz has stayed on his feet for 10 rounds.
I mean, he was born with that meteor hit.
Yeah.
What is in that soil to keep him on his feet right now? Another right hand eaten by Ortiz. The punishment being inflicted by Frankie Gomez here in the final rounds is what boxing fans get impressed by. You see the flashes from him. 1-2 from Gomez.
Tell you what, Gomez would have stopped a lot of young fighters, guys that have a similar number of fights that he has. At his age, he would have knocked a lot of guys out.
Final seconds of the fight. Frankie Gomez control from the opening bell. Silverio Ortiz showed a lot of heart and battled with him, but it wasn't enough as Frankie Gomez goes the distance against Ortiz. A good fight. As Oscar De La Hoya collapses, he's watching Frankie the Pitbull Gomez. We'll come back with the decision from Indio.
Judges' scorecards, all 3 judges have it 100-90. El ganador por decisión unánime, your winner by unanimous decision, se mantiene invicto and still undefeated, Frankie the Pitbull